Hey everyone, and welcome back to MacArthur Manor. We are on our 6th episode, and today,
Wow, 6? That's amazing.
we're going to talk about every episode, for, 7th, 8th, until we're hit 100, and then the novelty will probably wear off then.
We're growing up so big.
Why is it like, it's like raining right now again.
Dude, it's raining in LA. Have you seen all the freaking videos that LAers are making because it's so terrible?
What are they making?
They're just like, I can't believe it's raining. And then it's raining again and again and again. What am I going to do with my life? I'm just going to cry.
Yeah, I don't think... I think the first month I was like, all right, that's, January. I was like, all right. And then February I was like, okay, this is fine, whatever. And then March, like we're almost at the end of March, and I feel like it's been raining almost every other day in the past 3 months. It's like kind of crazy. I don't know.
It rained in December too.
Yeah, exactly. So then like just how is this possible? I thought we were in the desert. Like LA, for those of you who don't know, it's technically a desert. It's rated as an arid area. We get a lot of our water from the Hoover Dam, which is why you should never drink tap water that's not filtered.
Really?
Yeah, because the water is kind of crappy. In the Bay Area, they get it up from a reservoir up north, but we get it, from Las Vegas as well. We all get it from the Hoover Dam.
Wait, if it's coming through the tap, it's not filtered?
I mean, it is filtered. I mean, technically, it doesn't have like super poisonous lead, I'm sure, but you can notice the taste difference.
Oh, trust me, I do.
It's coming from a long distance, right? That's
It's
why
disgusting.
in LA, I never drink the tap just straight from it, because you got to use that thing. But anyway, yeah, we've even had like a drought problem in LA for the longest time, or in California in general for the longest time. I can't imagine we have that problem anymore. But it's just kind of like, yeah, I know. Yeah, LA people talking about the weather, how typical. Again, I think we already talked about that a couple weeks ago, but it's just like kind of crazy right now.
I know how. Wait, segue to that. How was the marathon? Because you ran it this weekend, right? Dude, it literally started pouring on that day. So when I was driving, I was like, poor Doug is running in the marathon in this rain.
Yeah, so about that, remember
Were
when
you running with an umbrella? Or were you wearing one of those hat umbrellas?
No, I just didn't go
Wait.
at all.
What?
So I remember last week when I was like, I needed a break from life. And I just needed one day to just smoke up and forget about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day turned into a week.
What? Dude.
I just kind of had an existential thing, and then like Saturday rolled around and I picked up my bib and everything, and I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to run anyway. So I was...
Wait, so you knew you did this on purpose? You did it on purpose?
No. So I was going to...
Premeditated.
So the week before, I didn't premeditate like smoking up like entire week. That was not premeditated. I just wanted to take a small break from reality, which I've gotten. I'm just gonna whatever. Anyway, so the week before, I'm like, I'm still training, I'm still running, but I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna do 13.1 miles at the shape I'm in right now. I needed more time to prepare.
Really?
So then I talked to the group person that organized it, and she was like, oh, well, actually, I'm going to probably like run a little bit of the full marathon and then walk the half marathon because I'm walking with friends. So it's like, oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea. Like,
That sounds fun. Yeah.
Walk, right? But then, yeah, like I pick up the bib and I'm thinking, yeah, that's going to do it. And, but it was just kind of like, it's 8:15 in the morning, and then...
It's 8:15 in the morning. People go to work at 8, so therefore they have to wake up either 6:30 or 7, or even earlier if you consider commute in LA.
You had to, there was a lot of logistics. Like they were ending up at Century City, so you had to park your car somewhere, or you could find it later, and
I live close by. I could pick you up.
Anyway, yeah, because it was raining, obviously I didn't go. I didn't even know it was raining until after I woke up.
Well, you planned perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the moral of the story is when it's raining, you're excused for any of the stupid shit you do.
Dude, literally, the
In LA.
traffic was terrible
There was like
that
a
day.
tree right now, like, on my street, when I came here,
Yeah.
like on my street, a tree just like fell onto this car, and I was like, but I've been noticing that like in the past month or so, there's been like trees falling over.
Why are people just like cutting trees down?
No. It's just because like, I guess like the land is not used to the amount of water, like of the rain. So some of the things.
Wait,
just,
hold
like,
on.
keeling
How'd you demonstrate rain?
I don't know, rain.
Oh, that's rain. Thank you. I just
Wait,
wasn't
how
sure.
did I? Wait, what was it going like this?
I don't know, but you don't have to do anything, really? Yeah, nothing. You need to do nothing to demonstrate rain.
That's what it sounds like out there right now.
Yeah, you're welcome. Don't fall asleep, okay?
Oh yeah, the call map.
Exactly. Or any app, really.
That has the rain in the background. And I remember all those things during the pandemic. It was just like it just felt like a sort of like dystopian world where we're now relying on these apps to give us sounds of nature that we'll never be able to experience because we're in the city.
Yeah, look at us now. We have it. IRL.
IRL.
All right, what's going on? Wait, I thought you were supposed to wear a t-shirt.
Oh, well.
Are you not doing it anymore?
I guess this didn't really come in a t-shirt. This just came in a sweater. But this is the sweater that so Bob Odenkirk, he plays Saul Goodman.
Saul.
If you didn't watch Better Call Saul, I guess, right?
Oh, no, I do. The lawyer. Got it.
Yeah. So the way that relates to Saul Goodman is that he went to the University of Samoa Law School, which is law school. Apparently, it's just like where you can take classes online and shit.
And he got his law degree?
Yeah, so that's
Is that a thing?
That's kind of like the joke. Yeah, I mean, like you know about Kim Kardashian, right?
Yes.
As long as you can.
She's a person?
Yeah, she's studying for the bar, right?
Oh, is she? Did she get it?
I don't know if she passed or anything, but it's just like you
we
don't
had that to
actually
start fact
technically
check.
need to go to law school to get
Oh, yeah.
to become a lawyer. Excuse me.
You just have to pass a test?
You have to pass the bar obviously the law school prepares you for that. And
Really? Man, that test is hard because a lot of people I know fail.
Yeah.
Even after going through law school.
Yeah, exactly. So then like the test is not easy, obviously, but yeah, technically you don't need to go. It's just that like obviously, having a name brand school gets you connections, whatever. It helps you get the internships you might need to get into the right law firms or whatever.
Right.
But technically, so I mean, even he didn't even need to do this, but like, obviously it helps to go to a school to learn about law and stuff like that.
Network. Got it.
Yeah. So that's where this comes in. He wears this several times during the actual show.
Is it warm?
It's warm enough. I don't know.
Okay.
I did notice though with these kind of like, gimmick t-shirts that the quality isn't like that great. Like you could feel that it's kind of cheap.
Oh.
And like I remember I had like that first episode. That was it's kind of like an old shirt. It's like 2018, 17 when I got it.
Some of our viewers were born that year.
Yeah.
Just
Actually,
kidding. That'd
it
be
might be
weird.
2014.
They'd be 5. No, they'd be 9 then. I don't think any 9-year-olds are watching us.
Yeah. But anyway, I got that shirt in 2014, but you could see it's just like falling apart and it's really faded.
Where's it falling apart? Because the way you're making it look is like as if it's a crop top.
Oh, I'm just like saying that the stuff you post
the
on
graphic.
The graphic like comes off really easily.
Got
It's
it.
like fraying at the sides.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Because you're putting in the dryer, not air drying, and allowing it to just.
I guess it makes sense because like technically if you are wearing something that does have an icon on it or whatever, it's going to not be a thing soon anyway. So it's
Well, if you air dry it, if you just let it, if you don't put it in the dryer, I think it would last much longer.
But you're talking to someone who's really lazy, so.
I saw you hang your clothes when your dryer was broken. I know you know how to hang up clothes.
How did you see that?
Because I came over.
During that time?
Yeah.
Huh.
How do you think this happened?
That was only one time. when it was
Exactly.
broken.
But that one time showed me this man knows how to air dry clothes.
It's not.
He does.
Thank you. Thank you for the vote of confidence.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
All right. You ready to move on to current events?
Sure.
Okay. Did you hear about the U.S. trying to ban TikTok? Is that going to happen? Because it's really popular.
So this has been a contentious topic for a while, but I feel like I think people are being distracted over kind of like different things right now. Because the first time this came up actually was, I think, 2020 or 2021.
Trump.
During Trump, right? Like he was just like, we need a ban, blah, 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 whatever.
And he's pro-China, isn't he? Except for calling the Chinese disease.
Yeah.
Or the China disease. The China virus. That's what it is.
I would say he is pro whatever makes the people that vote for him or that support him happy. Like, and that could change at any moment. Like, cause yeah, like during the pandemic, he would say stuff like Xi and Putin are actually fighting the deep state. And,
they're trying to fight the what?
The deep state. So,
what is that?
So, I mean, he's not totally, in my opinion, wrong about this, but the deep state is just like a concept that within the American government, there exists some sort of like controlled apparatus that controls the actual stuff behind the scenes.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah. So he's not, in my opinion, completely wrong, but the way he says it is very
okay.
elementary.
So going back to TikTok.
Right. So going back to TikTok, at the time there was like a committee that appeared before Congress. It was like the Microsoft CEO. I forgot what his name was at the time. He's like the Indian guy.
The Indian guy.
Amazon. And the Google guy was also an Indian guy. I forgot his name as well.
The other Google guy.
the other
Indian
CEO.
Indian.
And then there was Facebook, right?
Uh-huh.
And then they were brought up to Congress and asked, like, is China stealing our IP? Is China whatever? And all of them pretty much said, I mean, they copy, some of the products that we have, like on Amazon. Like Jeff Bezos even was like, I mean, I guess like they sometimes sell products that are knockoffs of products, but that's not like stealing our IP. But then like Mark Zuckerberg for Facebook was the only one who really was like, oh, I think it's what did he say? He said something like it was like it's documented and proven that China steals IP from the tech industry and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So
Does
then
it show that for Facebook too?
Right. So then
the pod killing the Cal Black or whatever it's
exactly. So then like, after that hearing, there was all this hoopla about TikTok being banned or whatever. And then 2 days later, Facebook comes out with Facebook Reels on Instagram or Instagram Reels, right? And it's just kind of like, wait a second. What's the real reason you guys are trying to get TikTok? Because TikTok is eating YouTube and Facebook's lunch. And they know it because the appeal of TikTok is that it just has very superior kind of video editing kind of UI. So with younger people, they're more in touch with like how to like manipulate these videos for their extremely short attention spans.
Yeah.
And not only that, there's something about I remember somebody from TikTok telling me there was something about the algorithm that's a little bit more fine-tuned to kind of like bring content that a person actually wants rather than like the same, like if you're on Instagram,
dark hole that is YouTube.
Yeah, or YouTube or Instagram. It's just kind of like it does these things where I'm not exactly sure. He was just saying that there's some sort of secret sauce within their algorithms that make it more I guess engaging or whatever.
Cool.
And proof is in the pudding, I guess. In the past few years, TikTok, I think there was some stat that's just 150 million average daily users in America, right?
Wow.
So that's like
all of America. Just
at least almost half of America is using TikTok every day. Like I don't think like even
a lot of recruiters are using TikTok.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
companies are using TikTok. There's 5 million companies that use TikTok to advertise their stuff. So what TikTok is doing when they say like TikTok is stealing their, spying on our data, whatever, they're not doing anything that's different from all the other tech companies. The other tech companies are also mining your data as well. They use that data to sell to advertisers, be like, hey, if you want to advertise to X demographic that is interested in Legos and Marvel, whatever, then pay us X amount of dollars and we'll target these ads at the people that like this stuff. And, TikTok is basically doing it but they're doing it even better than, I guess Instagram, whatever. So then people are starting to move off Instagram, YouTube, and spend more time on TikTok. And then you could see that on YouTube as well. They're trying to do the YouTube shorts, right? I'm sure you've seen that. And so in my view, I think a lot of this just has to do with tech companies trying to muscle TikTok out of their space. Because there was also a report that said, from The Verge, that said that Facebook was funding this GOP kind of group that was like heavily against China and TikTok in general, like spewing the ideas that TikTok is spying on everyone. And
it's crazy how they're like, oh, you need to sell all your shares, separate from ByteDance, and it's like, what? Why do they have to go to such extremes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is that the CPC ultimately controls all the companies in China, and so if you give all this data of you dancing and whatever, they'll somehow use that
they'll steal all your recipes and all your family history.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like hysteria, in my opinion, that kind of like mirrors the hysteria over, like back in Nazi Germany about Jewish companies and Jewish corporations, that they did the same kind of thing back in Nazi Germany, where they were like, oh, these people are trying to control us with these companies, whatever. We need to ban their companies altogether, right? So that's kind of like the first step. They didn't go from zero to Holocaust, right? They would like, oh, they're trying to take over, so we need to ban their companies first, and then we need to ban their whatever and then so
terrible.
This is, to me, it's signaling some start, like if they're actually successful in banning TikTok, it signals to me that there is not good stuff that is in store for Asian Americans.
Okay, good to know. All right, did you hear about those TikTokers who got on Trump's app and just spammed him and trolled him and
Trump's app?
Trump has an app.
Oh, Truth Social.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, the most trending hashtag only has 100 people hashtagging it. So if we get 100 of us to jump on and go DeSantis 2024, we can overtake the algorithm and have it as the number one hashtag. So they did that, and he or his team banned all the people who were using hashtag DeSantis 2024, and then he stopped letting people onto the app.
Wait, so no one can sign up for it now?
At this moment, no, because of course the TikTokers have just gotten such a following that he's like, we can't give any credence.
Wait, but how do they justify that under their, aren't they supposed to be Truth Social?
Yeah, exactly. He's just saying these extreme liberalists are trying to mess with us. So yeah. He tweeted back, but
he's not back on Twitter though, right? He's not back.
I don't think he's allowed on Twitter.
He is? Elon reinstated his.
Oh, then I don't know. That's something you're gonna have to know.
Yeah, I think he might be trying to hold out. It might be part of his strategy or his campaign strategy to like make a big Twitter splash. I think he'll come back to the platform eventually. Like right now, obviously he wants to grow Truth Social, whatever. But I think like once the 2024 election is in full swing, he's going to come back to Twitter.
Can you believe it's almost 2024?
I can't believe it's 2020s. I feel like the pandemic is just like warped all sense of time. I think we're just perpetually stuck in this twilight zone of madness. All
right. Have you heard about DeSantis?
What about DeSantis?
How he's on the rise?
Actually, don't really know that much about DeSantis.
Dude, he's crazy. He's the Florida governor, and he is making all this legislation that apparently passed that is bringing us to antiquated times, such as banning certain books in libraries. If a parent is uncomfortable with a certain book, they can't have it in a school library. And
wait, if one parent?
Yes, one parent. Yeah. And not only that, but teachers are not allowed to talk about gender identity, and sex with kids in schools, like under the age of...
Wait. Hold on. So then let's say I'm a parent and I just want to troll. I'm just like, I don't like any of these books.
Dude,
they'll all be taken out.
I think so. I mean, of course, we're gonna have to look more into that and see, but he is crazy. Yeah. Any tenured teacher that's in Florida right now, it is going to be screened by a panel that DeSantis creates himself.
Wait, so and this is all being passed through in Florida?
Yes.
Did he just become governor?
No, dude. I don't know when he became Florida governor, but
But what was he? Was he like a senator or anything before that, or anything like that?
not that I know of.
Okay. Yeah,
He's
I don't
gonna
know.
go for presidency though.
I do know that he is one of the front runners for the Republican candidacy. I just don't know anything too much beyond that because I guess I'm just more kind of like the electoral system is garbage anyway. So it's just theater in my opinion. I probably will get more acquainted with his whatever, depending on like how the conventions and everything turn out. But
okay.
they're just like, ugh, God. It's funny because I feel like I'm not like a Trump supporter per se, but yeah, I would definitely prefer someone like Trump over DeSantis because DeSantis, to me, from what I've heard, seems like very establishment, very like, supported by the rest of the GOP.
Is it? Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Trump got elected in 2016, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't really realize this, but there were a lot of Republicans that didn't really like that Trump was the president.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So I think people have this in their minds that Republicans are all united together or whatever, but there is somewhat of a split between the people who just support DeSantis. They're more the establishment, kind of like, they're not really the MAGA crowd.
Oh, well, okay, got it. I was like, what do you mean by the established?
Like the neoconservatives, the ones that like actually are kind of like when you think conservatives, you think traditionally of these kinds of people. You don't think the Trump, the MAGA.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like the big business proponents, the.
And they would go for what DeSantis is doing?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, they just want someone who's going to, cut taxes and just rush. They don't really care about his probably other policies, whatever. They just care about cutting taxes pretty much.
That's crazy.
And making things better for big business.
Okay. Do you have any updates?
I did notice that Trump was pulling ahead in some sort of betting markets in terms of DeSantis. I think he was below him. So it's interesting to see. Biden, I think it's like nearing all-time lows in terms of approval rating. I think there was something that came out that said 32% want him as the Democratic nominee.
Wait, how many?
32%.
I mean, did people really want him to win? No, but that's
No.
all they had.
Yeah. And I mean, like, we could go on reams of this because I was like thinking Bernie was probably the most likely candidate, but then they teamed up and screwed him over. But anyway.
Good job.
And it was funny because the next highest wasn't even Kamala. It was Michelle Obama at 19%.
Dude, Michelle's fucking dope.
But it's just so funny that like people hate the current president so much that they're like, yeah, we need to get rid of these guys.
I mean, it'd be funny if, say, I don't know, somehow Michelle got it, right? And she was able to pass all the legislation that he was unable to, such as paid family medical leave.
The thing is, like, I don't think that he's unable to. I think that he just doesn't want to.
All right. Thanks. Any other
I'm a little
news?
bit more cynical on Le Biden. Any more news?
Le Biden? That's weird.
Le Biden.
Okay.
Like
No.
like French. Le Biden.
But why? Does he have any
No,
French
there's no
heritage?
why. It's just a funny thing to say.
Okay.
Wow, tough crowd. Anyway, John Wick is coming out this weekend. We might do.
Yeah.
I'll
This
talk
weekend?
to Ivan.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But yeah.
If y'all want to join, what theater? What time?
It's actually like one of the few movies these days I'm like, yeah, we need to watch this in the theater. Because like, I think I can count on obviously pandemic, but like, I could count on my hand the times I've been to a theater now in the past few years.
Okay, so are you actually going to release this before the movie comes out so our viewers can come with us? Or are you just going to like drop this next
How many viewers? Hey, you guys. No.
Dude, trust me, there are some people who'd be like, I'm down.
I mean, I guess I could release it before then, but I don't think I don't think random people from the internet, from halfway around the world are going to be like, we're going to join you guys.
I mean, if they happen to be in LA or if they're in LA.
Sure, fine. If this comes out, you're welcome to email one of us and see if you can join the party.
Oh, yeah, or slide into our DMs. Probably his.
But yeah, it's John Wick 4. I can't believe that.
Oh, maybe we should do a movie marathon and watch all of them. Just kidding. I'm just probably watch something on YouTube that gives me everything in 15 minutes.
First one came out 9 years ago.
That's it?
Yeah, it was pretty much like a revival of Keanu Reeves' career, I feel like before then, obviously there was The Matrix and he had some things in between, but like there was like a 10-year thing between that and The Matrix where, he wasn't really in the spotlight, but I think that kind of like ironically like put him in the front, right? He has his own franchise where he's just like shooting people.
Dude, he is so good. The fact that he went through all the training to actually be able to do all those tricks with guns, amazing. You do not want to get in a firefight with that man.
And there's Donnie Yen in it.
I know.
Your favorite?
He really is.
He actually is. I actually learned this recently, but Donnie Yen, because like he was, he was going to present. He presented at the Oscars, right? And then there was this like small little Hong Kong / Taiwan protest, like, he supports the CPC and like, wow, he should be banned or boycotted or something.
Rude. He was Ip Man, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of like, I didn't know this, but apparently he grew up in Hong Kong for his childhood, and then moved to the United States, became a United States citizen.
He can be a senator.
Yeah, but then he relinquished his United States citizenship.
Just kidding, he can't.
In 2009 to be a Chinese citizen.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Plot twist.
I was like, damn, that guy's based. And
I don't know what that means.
Based is like, it's a term from, I think it's black hip hop, but it basically means you're willing to say the stuff that everyone thinks, but no one is brave enough to say it.
That's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do. That's what we do. What? What do you mean?
I suppose so. Okay,
Yeah.
Continue.
What do you think this podcast is for?
Hey, moving on. Any other new updates?
Any new other updates? I mean, I just feel like there's just a deluge of like crap in my face about the world being crappy and just like, ugh, God.
Were they going to do with Putin again?
Huh?
What are they doing with Putin?
Oh, that's another thing that happened. I guess Putin met with President Xi Jinping in China. I think he went to, I think it was in Beijing.
He recruiting more people for his army?
Huh?
I said, is he recruiting more people for his army?
No, I think it was just kind of like a, hey, what's up kind of talk. I mean, it's hard to say.
Pointless.
But it's more, yes. I mean, it's more kind of like, we know what's going on with the United States. The United States is trying to F with both of us, right? So then we got to like...
Oh, yeah. Nuclear them.
Team up. Well, no.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yes, if it comes to that, yes. But no, we're not trying to nuke the country with the most nuclear submarines all around the world that can nuke anyone at any time.
I mean, if you kill the leaders, we're just gonna crumble.
You think so? Do you think that if we killed our leadership that the United States would crumble?
Well, who else is in charge? Oh, it could be like that one TV show.
I mean, Designated Survivor.
Yeah. Did you watch that show?
I watched the first half of the first season. Yeah, but you see, they have a very designated hierarchy of like who's going to take power or control after. I mean, like unless like in that show, you manage to kill all the senators, all the House of Representatives, all the people in the cabinet, all the did they kill the Supreme Court justices too?
I don't know.
But like, yeah, that first of all, that would never. I mean, never say never, I guess. But
yeah, it's not possible.
It's in the realm of possibility.
Oh, they can assassinate everyone. Russia's got all those spies, although maybe they're in war right now. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't really want to give America or NATO the pretext to invade them because right now that's...
Hello, assassinations can be covert.
Yeah, but if senators end up dropping dead, they're not going to be like, oh, that was just a random coincidence.
All these people are dying of allergies. What?
COVID.
Exactly.
The Tri-Delta variant.
Exactly. The Chinese virus. Ridiculous.
But yeah, I'm guessing it's more of kind of like a, you got my back, I got your back kind of talk.
Well, again, you don't know. It could be, hey, man, they shot down your balloon. I know, man. I'm bummed.
Yeah, that even if that was the context of their conversation, it was more, we're in this together.
Yeah, we should go kite flying, man. No one will shoot down our kites. Okay, sorry. Moving on. Any other news?
Moving on. Oh, man. Nothing that comes to mind at the moment. I think I smoked a lot of weed, so I'm just not really as engaged as I should be.
That's fine. I sent you that study.
Oh, yeah.
So fact check time.
Yeah, so we didn't have too many fact checks from last episode, but we'll talk about this. So I noticed something interesting in the report.
Oh, you did
It said that the ages 25 to 34 had the lowest kind of wage gap, 92 cents to every dollar.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
So, I mean, I think your 2% or in the next whatever years is maybe a little pessimistic, because like if that holds, if that cohort holds, then it stands to reason that like when they get older, that wage gap decrease will move on to that part of the...
That would happen if women were to upscale, in addition to getting those positions that are not just middle management and lower.
So then you also...
Because women are only 10% of C-level positions.
Right. But you will admit, though, that...
But you will admit. What will I admit, Doug?
That the olds, right? The people who are in Gen X and, boomers, right?
Yeah, that brain drain, they're leaving us. They haven't passed their knowledge down.
Oh, well, I'm not talking about that. But they come from an era that's a little bit more antiquated, right? And so they would have more of that divisions and wage gap. But I'm saying, like, once they get older and they get phased out, just by them getting phased out, the wage gap should merge. Well, not merge, but like, get closer.
We'll see. I think with pay transparency, as well as people advocating for equitable wages, then that will eventually close it up. Hopefully it won't be 30 years. Hopefully we won't be
in 30 years, I think we're all going to get into nuclear holocaust or be a socialist, but...
So money will not matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All the layoffs. So sad. Moving on. All right. You ready to talk about some civil rights?
Let's talk about it.
All right. So are we starting with MLK or what? What's going on?
I guess we'll start from... are we talking about civil rights in the context of the United States, or are we talking about...
Where else are you thinking?
I mean, the entire world, I guess.
If you're thinking about can you talk about that? Do you know all that?
Well, it's just kind of like in the context of Western imperialism, right?
Okay, this is fun.
Yeah. So then, a brief history of Western imperialism. It kind of like started back 1095, actually. That's when the First Crusade started. That's when
fucking assholes. Stay in your lane.
I guess the Pope was like, you know what? Let's recapture these territories we lost from the Arabic people who kind of took over.
Terrible.
And so from that they were exposed to the people from Europe were exposed for the first time to a lot of these new kind of things in Arabia, or math, for example. There was some sort of in math we use Arabic numbers, right?
Okay, sorry. I was like, what is it?
Yeah. So just cultural exchange and stuff like that. And then, they would also see there's this India place. That's cool. Let me explore it. And, you had the Marco Polo and all that stuff going on in the 1200s as a result. And so it wasn't until the 1400s when they started having the technology to build ships. Right.
Wait, so how are they getting there otherwise? Horses? Camels?
Yeah. So the Silk Road would be a road, right? It wasn't overseas. But then, they built the maritime technology by the 1400s, I guess, to start exploring whatever.
Brilliant.
And that was the start of Western imperialism, right? Where now they needed people to do their shit and do their bidding. So they needed labor to work on some of the land that they were starting to take over, especially in the Americas, because when they explored Americas
and islands.
Yeah, once they found it in the 1500s, they were like, oh, this stuff is really fertile. This place is really good for producing agricultural goods.
Oh, and they met Pocahontas.
Yeah, and so it's funny you mentioned Pocahontas. I'll talk about that some other time. But
that's my Disney education for you.
Yes, John Smith, Pocahontas. Sure, fine, whatever.
She didn't marry him.
But yeah, so one could argue that the question of civil rights really arose from the idea of like, does a society have the right to subjugate another society for profit or not? It's just
slavery.
Yeah, so they would justify it. Even the beginning of slavery, there would be people, obviously people would be like, this is messed up. What are we doing? Like in 1688, there was the Pennsylvania Quakers who were like, wait a second, we believe in God who says do unto others as they would have to do unto you, right? This is not, slavery is not
good idea,
really
Quakers. I like that.
Yeah, Quakers were actually the first people to protest slavery.
Oh, they protested. That's nice.
Yeah. So
what happened? They died? Did they get massacred?
1688. That's the beginning of civil rights almost.
Oh, cool. But did they get massacred?
They were just probably, I don't know if they were massacred, but they were probably just ignored. They weren't.
Oh, wow. They were just ignored. How nice.
But I think by the late 1700s and 1800s, there was kind of like an abolitionist movement that was happening after the Quakers kind of started it, right? And so in the 1400s, they kind of justified it by saying, oh, well, we're God's people. We're Christian. We're actually spreading Christianity to people. And we're God's chosen people. So obviously
we're teaching people.
Yeah. They would use stuff like the stories about Ham, Shepheth, and Jeth, which were Noah's sons. Basically like saying that they split off and created different kind of races or whatever, but we're the good we're the good kind. But basically saying, our right to rule is embedded in our religion. We believe in God, and so God gave us this right to rule. By the 1700s or so, or 1800s, there was the Enlightenment period, where it was kind of like almost like a move away from this super religious kind of like stuff from the Renaissance. The Renaissance was like heavily like religious and oriented in terms of like new ideas, but the Enlightenment period was a little bit more like, oh, scientific method, right? But then
Newton.
Yeah. So then we're like, oh, actually, it's actually scientific that white people are on top, right?
Oh, yeah, because their brains are bigger.
Yeah, they would do these caliper, like whatever. This is how you tell a black person from a white person. You like measure their skulls, like weird race science shit like that, right? And so they would use all these things to justify the sociopathy that's required to subjugate another race or another human. So then, in my opinion, civil rights kind of like originates from, or human rights really originates from this question of like, how did you justify this for so long, right?
Wait, so who started with this whole like we're Enlightenment shit or in religion?
You mean in the 1400s?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it came from Italy in the beginning. Italy was the center of a lot of this Renaissance movement. But then obviously, the people who were exploring a lot were the Spanish conquistadors and Portuguese. They were doing a lot of the exploring during that time.
Got it.
And then eventually,
which is funny because Portugal is tiny.
Yeah. Which is why they probably wanted more territory, right?
Yeah.
But then, by the 1700s, that's when England and France started to get into the play a little bit more. And then England kind of became the big boy by the 1700s of like Western imperialism.
Because of industrialism?
That was part of it. I think they were just, that was part of it, but I think they were just much more, I guess, interested in expanding their empire. Right?
Yeah, they too are small.
Yeah. And they are on this tiny island that's kind of dreary and depressing. So
Correct. True.
so yeah, so that's where it all started. So then, like, obviously, America started in the same kind of way where, you know, they started by genociding Native Americans and using that said slavery to bring over black labor to make the agricultural goods that they would then export to England, back to England, and whatever.
How'd they convince people to leave Africa?
They didn't convince them. They stole them.
Oh, okay. I was like, how'd they convince the Native Americans to
Wait, do you not know about the history of the transatlantic slave trade?
No.
Oh, well, basically, yeah, it started during the time of the Renaissance. I've heard conflicting reports about this, but apparently during that time there were warring African tribes. And so, you know,
I know that's true.
Yeah. So in war, there's, you know, prisoners of war, right?
Oh, so so they sold them.
So they would sell their prisoners of war to the white people. That
For what?
wanted.
What were they selling for? Tea?
I don't know, money, I guess,
Silks?
or whatever.
Well, money means nothing if, you know.
Yeah, I guess like whatever currency whatever made sense.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe they gave them silk or whatever, all these goods that they were making from the slave labor. You know,
Or they're getting from China. We'll give you. Well, I know. We'll give you opium and you'll give us tea and silks.
So that's how it kind of started. But then, like, you know, once it got really big, I'm sure that they didn't even care about prisoners of war at that point. They just like raided places and just stole people. You know, and it wasn't an easy passage too. I think something like 10 to 20%.
Oh, I thought it was more than that.
Died. Yeah, it might be more. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was like 50%.
I don't know. 50 seems high.
I was like, I'm about to ask Siri, but sometimes she don't know me.
Well, it's just kind of like, you know, if you're thinking like a capitalist, you want to make sure most of your product doesn't die on the way.
But the thing is that they didn't have the technology or science to make sure people survive.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying, like, they weren't trying to wantonly kill as many people because they wanted, you know, as many slaves as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then it would be this really brutal process. And by the 1800s, it was like millions of people per year. So yeah, they didn't quite convince them. It was more like, you're coming.
You're coming along on the ride.
Yeah. There was no real convincing happening during that time. So yeah, so they were stolen. They were because they killed off all the Native Americans, either through disease, war, or just, you know, famine.
All right.
They couldn't rely on the Native Americans anymore to do their slave labor, so they needed to bring over black people.
Yeah, because they brought measles and they all died.
So there was some civil rights movements for the Native Americans, but it just wasn't as big because
Quakers are so many.
No, it was more that they killed off most of their opposition, right? Like the United States, while yes, they did start Indian reservations and try to make some laws to
centuries later.
Right. There was something in the late 1700s about Indians, but yeah, overall they would also do stuff like pay money per Indian scalp you killed, right? Like when they're westward expanding, like the Wild West, you know, that's where it comes from. Like they would say like, oh, you need to clear this area. Yeah, exactly. So then
talking civil rights.
Yeah. So then civil rights movement, I guess, effectively started kind of like
underground railroad.
Yeah. So then it pretty much started once they got off the slave ships, right? Like they don't want to be, nobody really wants to be a slave. So there was a lot of like dissent, obviously, right? Like there was in the 1800s, it was Frederick Douglass in the early 1800s. I think it was like 1820s that he started a movement. And then like you said, the Underground Railroad, was it Harriet Tubman? Yeah, she would, you know, free slaves herself, trying to get people to the North to get their freedom. But I guess like the way we understand civil rights mostly, I guess, started at the end of the Civil War, right? In 1865, technically slavery is over. 13th Amendment to 13th to the 15th Amendments
but didn't it not end immediately, right?
So the 13th Amendment technically ends like the kind of slavery that we're familiar with, like chattel slavery and whatever on the plantation. But it did not eliminate the use of slavery entirely by saying, unless they have been convicted of a crime.
Oh my gosh.
So basically, that's where a lot of the like the Reconstruction and the Jim Crow kind of laws came into effect, or they would make all these like laws basically targeting black people to like throw them back into prison. So there in the early years after 1865, there was this like push and pull. Like President Johnson, I don't know if you know who he was, but he was the vice president of Abraham Lincoln, right?
And then he took over.
Right. So then in American politics, usually you run like a candidate that is on one side of one party, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then your vice president is
the other
usually
party.
not on the other party, but like their policies lean. So he was a very Southern person, I guess, or Southern sympathizing person. Like, for example, he would do like stuff like he would pay reparations to the slave owners for losing their property.
It's terrible.
And a lot of the stuff like 48 acres and a mule, he just nixed that entirely. He just basically made it like, even though the slaves were technically now free, he did everything he could to make them not as free as they should be. And so later on, there were these Jim Crow laws, like I'm sure you're aware of. But the main design was to throw black people back into slavery. I mean, back into prison, so they could be slaves to the state now. Yeah. Not even to yeah.
So the state needs to make money somehow.
So there was this push and pull for the next 30 or 40 years. And then I guess like by the 1900s, there was just kind of like there was a push towards moving up north as well, because like, there was great migrations, just because like there was industrialization going on in the north
and more opportunity and more liberal mentality.
So
right?
Back then, factory jobs were paying a lot more than just field jobs, and because like after the Civil War, they still needed that black labor. They would just pay them like a lot less. Whatever. So then there was more kind of like a movement as black people started to move across the country, right? Because most of them actually still, I think like the vast majority still are in the South, but then because of the Great Migration, now I think there was one in the early 1900s and then in the 1940s or so, and 30s or 40s, because they were gearing up for World War II.
Wait, let's rewind though, because I know there was the Great Migration, but I do also know that a lot of the civil rights did stem in the South, because like you said, there's still such a large amount of people, such as with Rosa Parks and MLK and Malcolm X.
No, Malcolm X was Michigan.
Michigan, just kidding. He's in North, but again,
and he settled in Harlem for his.
So when they came together,
politics.
then did he come down south?
Yeah, so they only met one time.
I know.
That was in Selma.
Yeah.
So that was actually voting. So he was down there to do stuff about like the voting bill. Mm-hmm. I think this was in 1963, and I think there was some worry because like they were from different factions of Black liberation. They weren't on the same team per se.
Yeah.
Malcolm X had a lot of things to say about MLK's camp.
Yeah.
Not about MLK specifically,
but his
camp.
Camp.
Though he did say he was an Uncle Tom once in 1957.
Oh my gosh.
But then he said
Shots fired.
He changed his position
Literally.
on MLK later, but he didn't really change his position on the other Black liberals.
Okay.
So yeah, it was the first and only time that they met, but yeah, that was when he came down to Selma.
So still with the Great Migration, that means that there were, I don't want to say Black people in all parts of the nation that were able to mobilize and find like-minded people to gather and protest with one another.
Yeah, I think a large part of that actually was in Harlem, in New York, when they needed a lot of Black labor, I suppose.
Do you have an idea of why?
Of why?
Yeah, why there was so much power in Harlem?
I don't know historically why, but I would say it's just kind of like New York is obviously a huge like economic center.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that during the Great Migrations, that would be one of the cities that people would want to go to try to make money, right?
Yeah.
And so
when people have money, they have more power and can make more choices and have more
so
freedoms.
then once they came to New York, they probably settled in a specific area called probably Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100%. Don't quote me on this. I might be totally wrong.
Maybe we'll do a fact check. We'll have to do a fact check.
I'll do a fact check. But then like once they're there, they realize that they're not being treated as fairly as the whites, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something different that's going on. And that's what Malcolm X, I think, talked about more in the North.
Not being treated fairly.
The structural kind of like the structural racism that's a little bit more hard to kind of like parse through than like, yeah, obviously if you're at a bus and the person is saying you need to get to the back of the bus, that's like a little bit more in your face racism, right? But then it's hard to like, if you're in New York and you're like passed over for a job because your name wasn't white enough or whatever, it's a little bit harder to point out. Right?
Still to this day, it's hard to point out.
Yeah. So then Malcolm X was talking about all that stuff.
Okay.
And that's why the people in the North hated him. Like they loved Martin Luther King, but because Martin Luther King was saying, look at all these racist Southerners, and the Northerners were like, yeah, look at all those racist Southerners.
It's so blatant. It's easy to point out.
Yeah, but then like when Malcolm X was saying like, look at all you racist Northerners, they were like, what? You're a jerk.
Yeah. We believe we let you work in our factories.
Yeah. So then during this time, actually, I was reading this book by Ho Chi Minh.
Vietnamese dude?
Yeah, your guy.
All right.
The guy.
Thanks.
So
the guy.
Before he was a revolutionary,
Mm-hmm.
he was born in 1890, but then he was looking for a way to liberate Vietnam or Indochina from the French, right? So he actually studied in England, he studied in France, studied all their ideas about liberty, democracy, or whatever.
Ooh, and he brought that shit back.
Yeah, and he actually also visited. He was working on the ship, so he traveled around the world a lot. But then he talked about this time when he was living in Harlem or talking with a lot of Black liberation people in Harlem, and he kind of like realized like, holy shit, there's a lot of stuff happening to Black people that's just like terrible, and so he wrote all these essays about it. And that kind of like really made him kind of look to the Soviet Union for answers about how to gain liberation. But yeah, that during that time, I think, the early 1900s, I think Black intellectualism was heavily concentrated in Harlem.
Yo, wait, hold up. I'm totally missing the part that China was there building, like Chinese men were there building railroads.
Well, Chinese men were on the West Coast.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So
I was like, but they're still dealing with, racism.
Yeah. So then on that angle, after 1865, that's when there was no more slavery, right? Mm-hmm. But they still, America's
we need labor
full of lazy people, right? Little lazy white people, right? Like we're not going to do this. Railroad building,
manual labor.
So there were a lot of like.
How'd they get the Chinese people over here?
So it would be something that's not quite slavery, but it was very akin to like indentured servitude, where they would kind of sell Chinese people kind of fake ideas about like how prosperous America was, and like,
the gold rush.
Yeah. There was that too. The 49 gold rush. But also just kind of like, and it ties into like, that was a time when opium was heavy in China. So it's like, things are shitty in China. Maybe if we go to America, we'll get a better future.
Wait, so
but then 1 in 3 people died.
Did they get civil rights though?
No, they were softly genocided.
Oh man.
So basically after the railroads are built, there's the Page Act in 1875 that bans like Chinese women from coming, I think it was Chinese women, from coming to America.
You better fact check that.
And then 1882, there's the Chinese Exclusion Act where, they banned Chinese people from coming at all, right?
Oh, wow. Really? That's nothing new.
So then you have these like poor workers who, worked on the railroads and broke their back, and like they don't really have that much money. They're not allowed to, and there's also miscegenation laws, so they're not allowed to marry white women and start a family. and they don't have enough money to go back to China, so they're just like stuck there.
Oh, but then they opened Chinese restaurants, right?
Some did. I mean, I don't know if
I
they
guess
had
not
the money
all of
to.
them did.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So I think someone told me that they talked to someone from that era, like a Chinese American
They're
who
still
had
alive?
descendants.
Okay, got
Descendants
it.
from that era. And they said that all of them were the people who kind of like were the managers or like the whatever, because like all the working class railroad people, they just died out. So yeah, so to answer your question, they got the same kind of treatment as the Native Americans and civil rights.
So they didn't get civil rights. So when do Asian Americans get civil rights then?
So
When the affirmative action came out and people were like, oh yeah.
that's like, I guess like it's well, I mean, it's a question of like, I think like the whole, like who gets rights, who gets whatever. It's like framing the question in the wrong way.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
How do you frame it correctly? And then also, when do Hispanic people get rights, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, when
I
does
think
everyone
like,
else gets to be equal?
basically, we need a socialist revolution.
No. I mean, there are steps moving towards
Because like,
it.
think about it, right? Like, you're aware of like capitalism as a system benefits the incumbents, right? Benefits the people who already have money, right?
Yeah.
You know that. That's like a just basic fact, right?
Adoy.
And so from the past 600 years of history, which race has been able to accumulate the most capital?
Shit. Oh, you know what? Indian people are coming out, and guess what? They're Asian. Google CEO,
Yeah, but they're not.
Microsoft CEO.
Yeah, but they're working for the
Man, yeah, I get it.
Bill Gates, who's getting the bulk of that money that they're generating.
Damn it.
Yeah, they could.
But but the thing is, they're still making money, right? So
That's true. I mean,
it's just
yes,
like
yes.
black people helping black people raise up, Indian people helping Indian people
Yes.
raise up. I mean,
guess like
let's raise
if
everyone
if
up.
capitalism is ultimately the thing going forward, yes, eventually it should equalize. The only question is, it's going to take a long ass time for it to equalize.
Would you
because-
say 30 years?
No. The wage gap isn't even equalizing in 30 years,
know.
remember?
I know.
So yeah, I guess like, I don't know. That comes to the civil rights movement, where I feel like America treats civil rights like a zero-sum game. And
But what should it be viewed as?
well, under socialism, we just break the great game entirely and like create
Okay, but
a new game.
if not socialism, then how else?
So that's why I wanted to explain, like during the civil rights movement, like to 1954 and 1968. That's the thing that most people know when they think civil rights. They know this period, right? That's like Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
You know, she wouldn't get off the bus, and now we can get bus boycott in Montgomery, and things are
Hurt
moving
their
around.
pockets.
But what a lot of people don't realize is that, like, I think there's this black guy. I think his name is Kwame
There's this
Ture.
black guy.
Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, I think is his original name. But he was like a very prominent socialist black liberation person, like the 70s or 80s. And he was saying like, there was this guy who came up and said like, I believe in socialism, whatever, but I don't believe violence is the way. Like we should all get along, whatever. And then he was like, okay, so let's say you are a slave and I'm your master, and the only way to get your freedom is to kill me. Do you say to yourself, I'm not going to kill, I believe in nonviolence?
Again, I think if you're posing it to a person that way, I think a lot of people might take the easy way and say kill the master, but there are so many other options that can be taken.
But I'm just saying, let's say it was your only option.
There's no only option.
And under chattel slavery, you think that you had other options?
Yeah.
What was your other option to
You'd have to give
get
me
out of
time
slavery?
to be more creative. I can't just think on the spot, be creative.
Well, you had to either wait for Harriet Tubman to save your ass.
Nah, dude, you could, I don't know. I'd be like, you could terrorize him and put him in fear, or just, I don't know, be able to create.
They would kill you.
No, create a rapport, create a trusting relationship. And from there,
I think you have an idyllic version of what chattel slavery was actually like. This was pretty brutal. Like,
yo, guess what? TJ slept with a lot of his ladies. All right, and being those situations.
All right. Well, you would admit that there are psychopaths, right? I'm not even talking about like the nice slave owners that might acquiesce to certain demands. I'm talking about like there's straight up psychopaths, right? Oh, probably a lot. And like your only move is to kill said psychopath.
Hold on. Okay, so how many hypotheticals are we going to throw into this scenario?
Anyway, the point is that in order to change people's, I guess his main point is like people don't give up power easily, right?
Yes, they don't.
And people highlight stuff like MLK because they say, "Oh, he just said get along with everyone," and that'll. But they wash over his more radical and revolutionary quotes because they don't want to talk about it. They produce this image of MLK that he was this very popular guy with both whites and blacks, and he just said everyone get along. But that wasn't true at all. He was very unpopular with the entire white community. I think he only had like 25% approval rate during his life.
Well, okay, please continue.
Right. So then it's the idea that like, yes, nonviolence can work if you can produce empathy in the people, the overall people that have the power to change things. But if they don't have empathy, then you're kind of screwed, right? Like the slaves were in the 1800s or the 1700s, right? They had to be a slave their entire life, right? They didn't really have another option. And so during this time, black people did fight for their rights. I'm not saying that they didn't fight for their civil rights and whatever. But a lot of people wash over the fact that without the Soviet Union, they might not have had the leverage to change things. So what the Soviet Union did during that time was they would point out the inequities of capitalist society. They would be like, and you guys are lynching blacks. They would talk about that. They would say, you guys are killing black people, and this is not, you say you're democracy, you say everyone's equal, but this is obviously like you're hypocrites, right? Because America would do the same thing to them. They would be like, you guys are controlling your people and blah blah whatever, and this is very authoritarian. Well, you guys are killing your black people, right? So because of that, there was a soft power that existed within and MLK was aware of this thing that was going on during the Cold War. And so the United States had to kind of like concede certain points because they couldn't afford to look bad to the global public. So what MLK's strategy was to highlight all these things, starting with the bus boycott in the 50s and moving on to kind of like galvanize the black population. But he did need that thing in the background in order to, and that's why I brought up the Kwame Ture thing. It was like, if your movement is nonviolent, but nobody cares, nothing's going to happen, right? Nothing's going to change if nobody cares. But the fact that the Soviet Union is kind of like keeping America honest, that is kind of the leverage that helped the civil rights movement kind of like push through. And the biggest thing for that was that this started during the Vietnam War. Like 54 was the end of the first Indochina War between 45 and 54. That was the first Indochina War, 45 to 54 with the French, when Indochina or France tried to invade and take over Indochina again. And then after 54, that's when this Vietnam War happened, when America started fighting against Vietnam to try to install their South Vietnamese government, their puppet government. Same thing that they did with Korea, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's a coincidence that like the main years of the civil rights movement of 54 to 68 kind of like coincided with the main years of the Vietnam War. Yeah, exactly. So they
did it very poorly.
During the Vietnam War too, the NAACP would work with white liberals and promote the Vietnam War to the African American community. So there were some people that would speak out against it, right? Like you had Muhammad Ali, you had Malcolm X, you had most of the more kind of like communist aligned black liberation people being like, this is messed up. And even MLK said this is messed up in 1967. And that was the reason the White House like banned him from coming to the White House. And exactly a year later after that, he said the Vietnam War is not right. He was assassinated like a year to the day. And so
Let's wrap this up, buddy.
Yeah.
You're
so
going off on a
basically,
tangent.
I guess like I'm more kind of like going to the point that, Black people did gain a lot of rights during this time, civil rights movement, but it did come at a slight cost to Asian people.
Because of the war?
Yeah, because they were literally genociding Asian people.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? Do you think that coincides with the
Which is
George
why I'm
Floyd?
like,
Wait, I'm not done. So, George Floyd stuff's happening, right?
Yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, simultaneously, all this Asian hate because of the China virus, right? But no one's given any homage to like the fact or given attention to the fact that Asian people are just getting massacred in the United States. So do you think there's any type of parallelism?
So it's complex. I am not saying that there was any conspiracy to coordinate events to happen the way they did. I think it was more opportunism. So the George Floyd stuff and Black Lives Matter, obviously that happened since 2014, right? And that was the Ferguson protests.
Okay, I was like 2014. What are you referencing?
The Ferguson, yeah. So that was I think it was Michael Brown, the original I Can't Breathe stuff. I think it was like a big thing because like for the first time, everyone and their mother has a smartphone, right? So in the past, it would just be he said, she said, right? It would be police be like, well, like he grabbed a gun and I had to shoot him, right? Like everyone knew that was probably bullshit, but like who's to say?
They didn't
right?
have evidence.
How do we know? But for the first time, we're like seeing this, like holy shit, like this does not match up with their stories at all.
Yeah.
The last time that happened actually was the LA riots, right? When unbeknownst to the police people, they had a video camera there was some random person who was like a video camera enthusiast, just like was shooting video one day and like, oh crap, this crazy thing is happening. And that video went, this is like before viral, right? This video went like, bananas.
Viral.
And so, so 2020, obviously everyone's stuck inside and COVID's happening. And like, so, everyone's watching this George Floyd thing happen in real time, and everyone's like getting really mad about it. But then also COVID's happening, right? And like China virus, whatever. And so what I think is kind of happening is that because of the economic conditions that are being really shitty right now as a result of pandemic and America's response to it, and just like the whole global economy collapsing at the same time, there are a lot of poor people who think that China is responsible for their problems, right? China's responsible for COVID. China's responsible for the economy, blah, 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 whatever. And so these poor people who might not be as informed about certain things take out their aggression on random Asian people. Yeah. So then that's why I think it's being ignored on purpose, because a lot of the people who are poor, where there are a lot of Asian people, unfortunately are Black.
But I'm not saying Black people are assaulting Asian people. I'm just saying
I know
Asian people are being assaulted, but no one's paying attention to it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I think it's no one's paying attention to it because a lot of it are Black people
that are assaulting Asian people.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because all the stuff I see is white people.
I mean, there was this Atlanta shooting, and there was other things, but I think white on Asian hate is usually verbal and like kind of just like harassment, intimidating. Whereas, so what I think is happening is that like, because of George Floyd, Black people are, rightfully angry at the system, whatever, at white supremacy. But I think like what happened is over the past 10, 20, 30 years, white liberals have kind of like successfully like made it seem that Asians are white too. And so like when, Black people wanted to take their take it out on the system, like their rightful anger against the system.
Oh, go to this cohort
Exactly.
of white people
Exactly.
that aren't white.
And I don't know if you've seen I don't know if you've seen my documentary on the LA riots.
No, but I was going to actually point out, I'm like, yo, black people were literally going against Korean people.
Yeah.
So again, very similar situation.
Exactly.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah. So then I would suggest, I'll show you my, we'll talk about it next time, actually. After,
Okay, I guess
after you
that's the
watch
next
it.
topic.
Yeah. But I talk about that. I talk about how, how they spun this story to be this, because of, the Latasha Harlins. I don't know if you know that incident. I guess you'll learn about it in the video.
Okay.
But that is like a major thing in terms of media manipulation and using kind of like different things to pit different racial groups against each other, right? Because like if you put yourself in the shoes of a white person, right? If you want to stay in power, how do you do it? Well, you can't have
little people against the little
you
people.
can't have the black people and the Asian people angry at you. You got to find some way to keep them fighting
Occupy with each other.
Exactly. And that's how you stay on top. It worked back in South Africa. That's how apartheid happened. They didn't put all the black people in one category. They put like black and then colored who were like mixed with white. So then they would fight with each other and like
the white people are fine.
Yeah.
Well, I remember in Clubhouse and people were like, why aren't black people coming to like our aid, right? And then remember there being some black people like, y'all didn't come to our aid when we needed you. It's like, hold up, everyone came out for like that.
It's just
But then again, like you said, it's how the story is framed, right?
Right.
Who's the storyteller and how are they framing that story?
Because it's just like, so I don't know, like obviously not all black people. I talk to a lot of black people about this regularly, and there are obviously people who get it, but the people you mentioned, I feel like it's just like so disheartening, because it's just kind of like you have lived as a black person in America your entire life, and you think that the media, rightfully think that the media has been lying to you or lying about black people to the rest of the world like for centuries, right? But why is it that you now believe them when it comes to Asian people? Why do you believe the white media when it talks about how Asian people are more racist than white people? Or, like, it's just kind of like...
Asian people are racist, but again, everyone's racist.
Right. Are you kind of like, why aren't you giving Asian people the benefit of the doubt that maybe the white people are telling the truth about what they're doing or who they're coming out for or what they're saying, et cetera, et cetera? It's just also kind of like, I feel like people think that there's this Asian community that all talks together and supports each other. We are probably the most divided group out of any ethnic group in America. Like there's no council of Asians saying like, yeah, we should support, we
need to come together and make our own movie. Oh, wait. There are some people who do that, but it's just small groups, not a whole council. Yeah.
There's no like council saying like, we need to vote against black people. There's no like... There's
no one doing that.
There's no one
They're
doing
like,
that.
please, let's all work together. Please, let's all work. Like in general, let's just come together.
Yeah.
And those groups kind of disband within
I think it's just like the idea
years.
that like, because we're successful, that means we must have been in cahoots
with someone,
with white people along the way.
Yeah.
Right. But they're not really seeing that, as I've talked about before, that the Hart-Celler Act, for example, it doesn't recruit just any Asian off the plane.
Like everyone.
Yeah. Fresh off the boat. It doesn't recruit like random Joe Schmo from Joe Tsai from Shanghai, it's recruiting the people who are the smartest and like, have the most technical skills. Right. And so it'd be like if I was judging the black community based on all their celebrities and like, you guys are all rich. What are you talking about? It'd be the equivalent of that, pretty much, of judging Asian Americans and being like, oh, you guys all, were helped by the white man and you guys are working with the white man. And it's just kind of like, no.
Everyone just got to work together.
We have been discriminated against.
Yeah.
Like, this is in spite of discrimination that we're here.
So I remember right after the George Floyd incident happened, all the riots, I remember a friend called, you know him. I don't need to say his name.
Yeah, sure.
But he was just like, Andrea, I realize I've been gaslit this whole time, and just going off on just the atrocities having been a black man in America. And I'm like, dude, why the fuck are you telling me this? Have I insulted you in some way? Have I not supported you? He's like, no, I just wanted to tell someone. And I was like, thank you.
Wait, but why didn't he examine that himself before?
I think being an artist in the way we are, perhaps we I don't like to say we live like hand to mouth, but we struggle, especially as a color artist in LA. Sure. And so
it's just like didn't have time to like even think about that.
It was just like what's normal, right? Yeah. But then when he took the time to actually see like what it meant and to have society pretty much examine it for him and present it in a way that he could ingest it. Yeah. He was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Oh, that's what happened to me? Oh, that's what that means? Oh, I thought that was just normal. No, that's not normal.
Yeah, I think a lot of us had an awakening. I mean, I had an awakening over the pandemic. That's when I read all the stuff that I read to talk about all this stuff now, right? That's when I read Malcolm X and MLK and Frantz Fanon and
I'm pretty sure I knew more of this in high school and in college. And my sister actually was like, Andrea, you should be more of a feminist. You believe in this stuff. And I was just like, I don't care anymore. It takes so much energy to care. I don't want to.
I'm just going to be a trad mom.
A what?
Trad mom.
What the heck is that?
You don't know that the traditional kind of like, it's like the counter feminist movement of like women. Wait, you're not aware of that? Like there's... No. I guess it's just like some women who are just kind of like, I just want to be a mom, a stay-at-home mom.
I'm totally part of that group.
Oh yeah,
but I realize that's not actually real life. So women who think you can be like that is not life. You need to be financially stable. You can't rely on a man because men are fucking useless. Except for watching gold.
But if they. I like how he gets the wait, but if you're living in a low cost area, it's possible. Like if you're living not in LA, obviously, but if you're living in like
okay, so let's be real. Again, women, if you're in that position, guess what? Your husband has power dynamic in his head that all your work is invisible. All that labor you do at home is completely discredited. I have a friend who's a stay-at-home mom, but guess what? Guess how much time she gets alone to herself? 0. Her husband gets to go, like, he gets to enjoy podcasts between work. Yeah, he's working. But when you work, guess what? You get to hang out with other people. You get to be a human being. When you're a mom, you're literally a tit and like, yeah, exactly. No, if you're a mom, your tits are just like,
all right.
Yeah, down here. It's just
on my back.
Just so much falls onto your shoulders and so much stress, and it's just so much that gets discredited. And
but what if there's a woman who just wants that
to be discredited and undervalued and unappreciated?
Well, you're making a lot of assumptions in this that all men are acting like this.
You know what? I won't say some men aren't, but they're not. They're the exception to the rule.
Right, but what I'm saying is, what if a woman is able to find that exception? Be like, this is the life.
Good fucking luck to you, buddy. You know what? More, please.
Exactly.
Just like let us play on your Instagram.
Let the trad moms do their thing.
Put it on Instagram. Let us enjoy vicariously through you. All right, It's like watching Bling Empire. Like, oh, that's nice. One day, never, but that would be nice.
Man, so much of a pessimist.
I'm a realist, dude. I've been in that life where I was trying to be there, and it's just like, no, I have a friend who's dating a girl. He makes significantly more than her, and the way he talks.
But we live in more of like a cutthroat city,
I'm not. He doesn't live in a cutthroat city.
Oh. This is like a bumblefuck America?
This is Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. I mean, to each their own. I'm just saying, like, not every guy in a trad relationship is like, you need to fix me my sandwich and my... But maybe there are women who like that, though.
Or better yet, if you're one of those trad moms?
Trad wife? Trad mom? I don't know.
Hopefully, they have the budget. The homie has a budget for, a side chick, so you don't need to be bothered with him all the time. A housekeeper, a cook, a chauffeur, personal stylist.
So you're fine with trad as long as the guy is loaded.
Dude, because then at least the woman gets to be a human being. And not just a fucking a surrogate.
But why? I guess like, so put yourself in the 1950s, I guess.
Dude, homegirl, like they made enough money. Well, even the lifespan.
Right. But I'm just saying, like the traditional family in the 1950s, you think that would be terrible if you were a stay-at-home mom?
If I was Asian.
Let's say you're a white woman.
No, I don't want to. We don't need to keep playing this game.
I think it's just like different preferences, different strokes for different folks. That's all. If the husband is an actual partner and not. Yeah. I'm just saying, I think the assumption that a lot of feminists make is that there are no men who are,
I won't say there are
exceptions to the rule. Like, what percentage would you say of
I'm
men?
not even going to play that game with you.
Exactly.
It's just the numbers are too small.
Fine. But to each their own, right? Like
Yeah.
you said, more power to her if she can find the trad husband who can fulfill her trad wife fantasies.
Correct. Check.
Anyway,
All the checks.
Where were we going with that?
I don't know. Well, thank you so much for viewing us, watching. As you know, we already know what the topic is we're talking about next time. So for sure, stay tuned for that.
Wait, what was the topic again?
We're gonna be watching we're talking about your.
Oh,
LA
well, is that
riots.
gonna be the main thing? I guess it could be the main thing.
Yeah, we're gonna fucking deep dive.
All right. I guess I should watch it myself again.
Yeah.
Watch myself do my own.
Don't
directing.
do that. Stop doing that. Don't do that. All right, y'all. Please do submit questions. Again, we're happy to answer. Please ask him anything you want.
I will probably, I think I'm going to also put it up on the Twitter thing so we
Cool.
can get more questions.
Okay, and then also come watch John Wick with us.
Yes. Yes. Actually, you know what I'm going to do?
What are you gonna do?
The app is called NGL, like not going to lie.
Okay.
That's where you get sorts of questions.
Oh, cool.
But I'm going to do it on Instagram and I'm going to do it on Twitter.
Cool.
And I'm going to do the thing where, like, you know, like the Instagram post after we make the video, I'm going to make, I don't know why I'm talking about this.
He's gonna do something.
Yeah, I'm
And
going to
it's
do
something
something.
to look forward to.
It's going to be something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you again. I guess have a good day.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.